Hello friends, welcome to today's session on Module 1. So under Module 1, the first chapter is Introduction to Simulation. So today we'll be seeing about the definition of system, its components, what are the different steps in a simulation study, and problems on single channel queuing system. So as we know, a system is nothing but a group of objects or components which interact with each other, right? And they are independent on each other in order to, and they interact with each other in order to perform some task, right? So system is a group of objects or components which interact with each other in order to accomplish some task, right? So each and every component in a system is independent of the other. For example of a system, we have banking system, we have solar system, all these are different examples of a system. Then we have modeling, right? So what is modeling? Modeling is nothing but design or representation of a system. We call it as a modeling, right? So in order to represent a system, we can make use of two types of modeling. We can go for single channel queuing system, or we can go for two channel queuing system, right? So in a single channel queuing system, right, it is systematic because we are maintaining only a single queue, right? So but the customers have to wait for a longer time if I follow a single channel queuing system, right? So this particular disadvantage of single channel queuing system can be overcome by making use of double channel queue or two channel queuing system, where there will be two servers and the customers will have lesser waiting time, right? So next, moving on to the definition of simulation. Simulation is nothing but an imitation of a real world characteristics of a system, right? So any simulation, the output will be graphical representation, right? So the simulation device, the device that is used to perform simulation, we call it as a simulation device, right? So for example, we can have different types of simulations. For weather forecasting, we can have a simulation. For the number of customers in a bank, that is for banking system, we can go for simulation. For training the pilots, we can go for simulation, right? So next we have something called as discrete systems, right? So discrete system is nothing but studying the system at different intervals of time, right? So discrete is nothing but at different intervals of time, right? So then we have the definition of an event. An event is nothing but a sudden change in the system. So there are different applications of simulation. Simulation can be applied in robotics, construction, shipping, manufacturing, etc. So next topic what we'll discuss here is when simulation is appropriate, right? So simulation should be used only when you need to know the internal interactions of a complex system, right? So you want to understand the information changes or the behavioral changes or the organizational and environmental changes. At that time you have to go for simulation, right? So whenever you can solve any problem, right, so by using common sense, you should not go for simulation. So when simulation is not appropriate, when the problem can be solved using common sense, right, when the cost exceeds savings, when we don't have huge amount of data, and and some manager is expecting something very fast, right? So that is what we mean by unreasonable expectations, right? So and if the resources or time is not available, so if all these things are there, we should not go for simulation. Then we saw about different applications of simulation. So we can say that simulations are used in manufacturing industry, in healthcare, in military applications, in wafer fabrications, right? So wafer fabrication is nothing but inserting IC chips in chemical industries, right? So it can also be used for logistics. Logistics is nothing but maintaining the data. Simulation can be used for transportation. It can be used for business processing, right? So now let's move on to few definitions which are used in your first module. The first definition was system, right? So system is nothing but a group of interrelated components which interact with each other in order to accomplish some task, right? So what is the system? Environment. The environment is nothing but it is a place where in which the system works, right? So environment has a very good or bad impact on the system, right? So based on the environment, I can depict the behavior of a system. There are different components of a system. The first component in a system is entity, right? So what is an entity? Entity is nothing but a real world object, or I can say an object of interest in a system. An object of interest in a system is called as entity, right? So for example, if I take any banking system, the server is an entity, right? So the servers are nothing but the number of busy tellers. Customers are also the entities, right? So next we have the attribute. What is an attribute? An attribute is the property of an entity, right? So for example, if I take customer as an entity, customer has a property of having an account number, right? So in a banking system, The third definition is activity. Activity is nothing but the time period of specified length, right? For example, deposit. A customer deposits an amount in a bank, right? So a customer withdraws an amount, right? So withdrawal and deposition are the different activities which are performed by the customer. Next, we have the state. State is the nothing but it describes those variables which are necessary to describe a system at a given point of time. Whenever I have to describe a system, right? So I need to select those variables which describe the system, right? So that those variables I call them as state, right? So for example, at 10 a.m. customers are serviced, right? So 4 customers are serviced and 6 people are waiting, right? So this is called as the state of a system at this particular time duration, right? So the last definition is event, or the last component of a system is event. So event is nothing but an instantaneous change that occurs in the system, right? So an instantaneous occurrence that changes the state of a system. That is an event. Based on the event, there will be a sudden change in the system. There are two types of events. We have endogenous event and exogenous event. So endogenous event are those events where the changes are occurring within the system, right? So exogenous events are those events where the changes are occurring outside the system, right? So that is your different types of events. So next, we have different types of system, right? So we have discrete system and we have continuous system. So discrete system means the system which varies at different intervals of time. We call it as a discrete system, whereas the continuous system is one, right? So which varies continuously. There are different steps in a simulation study, right? So we have a flow chart in order to describe the different steps in a simulation study. The first step is problem formulation, right? So that means understanding the problem statement. That is what we mean by problem formulation. Once you have the problem, the second step is to setting of the objectives and the overall project plan. That means how you are going to prepare a simulation model for the given problem. That is the second step, setting of objectives and overall project plan. Third step is model conceptualization. Model conceptualization is nothing but you are preparing a prototype of the model what you want to build, right? So that is model conceptualization. The fourth step is a data collection. So in order to build any simulation model, the raw material what required is the input, right? So the input raw material is your data, right? So without the data, I cannot perform any type of simulation, right? So the fourth step is a data collection. So once you have collected the data, next is you will be moving to model translation, right? So that means you are converting that conceptualized data, you are converting the conceptualized model into real model, right? So first you will construct one model, then you will go for verification, right? So verification is nothing but you are checking whether you, whatever actions you are performing, are you going in the right path, right? So that is verification, right? So if at all there are any mistakes in any changes have to be made, right? So once again you will go back and you will correct it in your model translation. So if at all the system is verified and it is correct, the next step is you go for validation, right? So validation is nothing but checking whether whatever model you have built is according to your required inputs, right? So after model after validation, the next step what we go is for experimental design. That means we will go for real time implementation now, right? So once we have experimental design, then we check whether we need to go for more simulation runs in order to get the desired output. That is the next step, which is production runs and analysis, right? So here I will check if at all I need more runs, right? So once again the simulation model is run, right? So you'll be performing simulation until you get your desired output, right? So if at all you don't need any more runs, right? So if it is no, then you go for documentation and reporting, and finally implementation, right? So these are the 12 steps which are used in a simulation study. Then let's move on to the types of queuing system, right? So we have two types of queuing system, single channel queuing system and double channel queuing system, right? So in a single channel queuing system, we will have a single server for servicing, right? So as you can see here, we have the calling population and we have the customers who are waiting in a line, and there is a single server, right? So the customers will come one by one, right? So they will get service from the server, right? And once again, they will leave that particular system. If at all there are more customers, again, they will come back and they will join the calling population. Again, they have to wait in the queue. They will get service from the server, right? So this type of behavioral system, I call it as a single channel queuing system. Under single channel queuing system, there are two types of events. They are called as arrival event and departure event. So what is arrival event? The arrival of the customer, right? So we call it as an arrival event, right? So this is the flow diagram of arrival event. So under arrival event, I will check whether the server is busy. If the server is busy, then what I have to do? I have to enter the queue, right? So if the server is busy, the customer will go and he will wait in the queue. So I will write it as unit enters queue. If the server busy is a no, that means the server is free, then unit enters the service, right? So we will write the status like this. Server status can be, the server can be either busy or he can be idle, and the queue status is the queue can be either empty or it is not empty. Not empty is nothing but the queue is full, right? So when the server is busy, when the server is busy and the queue is, when the server is busy and the queue is not empty, queue is full, right? So but still, since the server is busy, what the customer has to do? He has to enter the queue only, right? So when the server is busy and queue is empty, still people have to enter the queue, right? So when the server status, we are considering two status of the server here. Either it is busy or idle. So if at all the server is busy, what the people have to do, right? Or the customers, they have to check the queue. Whether the queue is empty or not empty, they have to enter the queue, right? So if at all the server is idle, right? So the server is idle and the queue is empty, right? Then what we have to do? We have to take that particular unit and we have to start servicing the unit because the server is idle, right? Server is idle means server is free, right? Server is free, right? And the queue is empty means what? The unit has entered the service. Server is free and the queue is full, right? So that state is impossible. So the next type of event what we have is departure event, right? So under the departure event, whenever the customer enters the service, right? So he is being serviced and he will depart after being serviced by the server, right? So this is the departure event flow diagram. So under this departure event flow diagram, we have to check whether another unit is waiting, right? So if at all another unit is waiting, what we have to do? We have to remove that particular unit from the queue and we have to start servicing the unit. If one more customer is there in the queue, we have to remove that particular customer from the queue and we have to start servicing that particular customer, right? So if nobody is there in the queue, that means what? I have to begin the server idle time, right? So under departure event, I'll be checking if at all somebody is there in the queue. If somebody is there in the queue, I will remove that particular unit from the queue and start servicing the unit. If nobody is there in the queue, that means what? I have to start the server idle time. So let us see few problems on single channel queuing system. So the first problem is, the statement goes like this: a small shop has one checkout counter, right? So one checkout counter means it is a problem on single channel queuing system. Customers arrive at this checkout counter at random from 1 to 10 minutes apart. That means customers are coming to this checkout counter at random that means the arrival time is distributed between 1 to 10 minutes. Each possible value of the inter-arrival time has the same probability of occurrence, which is equal to 0.10, right? So or 0.1. That means the probability that the customer comes, the probability of the inter-arrival time, right? So for all the customers is around 0.1. The service times vary from 1 to 6 minutes, right? With the probability shown below, right? So service time is nothing but how much time duration each customer is spending with the server, right? So service time we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So for 6 service times, right? So we have the different types of probability. We have to develop a simulation table for 10 customers. Develop a simulation table for 10 customers. So based on the number of customers, we will be developing our simulation table. So develop a simulation table for 10 customers. We have to find average waiting time, average time customer spends in the system, average service time, right? So these three things we have to find. So take the random digits for arrivals as they have given the random digits. So count the number of random digits. You will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because the inter-arrival time for the first customer is 0, right? So because the first customer will not have any inter-arrival time, right? So you have to consider this inter-arrival time starting from the second customer. Then for service times, so service times, every customer will have a service time. So we can see that the random numbers for service time will be 10, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sequentially, right? So one after the other, you have to assign the service time for the customers, right? So in order to solve this problem, first what we have to do is, they have not given what is the inter-arrival time for every customer, right? So they have given the random numbers. We have to first find the inter-arrival time. So in order to find the inter-arrival time, we go for random digit assignment for inter-arrival time, right? So random digit assignment for inter-arrival time. So in this table, we have 4 columns. The first column is inter-arrival time. Second column is probability. Third is cumulative probability. And fourth is RDA. RDA stands for random digit assignment. So inter-arrival time, we have 10 customers, right? Therefore, inter-arrival time goes from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like that, you have to write all the inter-arrival times. Then we have the probability. So the probability of occurrence, they have given that the probability of occurrence for all the 10 customers is they have the equal probability. So equal probability is 0.1, right? So for all the 10 customers, we have to write the probability as 0.10. Next, in order to calculate the cumulative probability, right? So what we have to do is the first value of the probability, we have to write it as it is. That is the same as the previous customers. For the next value, we have to add, right? So 0.10 plus 0.10, we will get 0.20, right? Again, 0.20 plus 0.10, we will get it as 0.30, right? So keep on adding the previous value with the current value. Keep on adding the previous value with the current value. So I will get the first value you have to return as it is, which is 0.1. Then you have to add 0.1 with the next 0.1 as shown here. 0.1 you are adding with this 0.1, you will get it as 0.20. Again 0.2 plus 0.1, you will get it as 0.3. 0.3 plus 0.1, 0.4, right? So the same way, if I keep on adding, finally I have to get 1 as my cumulative probability, right? So for random digit assignment, what we do, always remember the random number, it starts with 0, 1, right? So if you have 2 digits here after the decimal point, right? So then here also you have to take 2-digit number, right? So if at all you have 3 digits here, say for example, if I have 0.001, then here you have to take it as 001, right? So since I have here 2 digits after the decimal point, I will take it as 0, 1 to 10, right? So then I have to start with the next number. So 11 to 20, next 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, right? So 51 to 60, 61 to 70, 71 to 80, 81 to 90, 91 to 00, right? So like this, we have to write the random digit assignment. This particular table is for random digit assignment for inter-arrival times. So next we will go for random digit assignment for service time, right? So in order to have random digit assignment for service time, right? So they have given that the service time varies from 1 to 6 minutes and the probabilities also is given in the question, right? So to write the service time and write the probability. Then how to write cumulative probability? Cumulative probability, take the first value and write it as it is. For the next value, you have to add the first value with the second value. So 0.05 plus 0.1, I will get it as 0.15. 0.15 plus 0.2, 0.35. 0.35 plus 0.3, 0.65. 0.65 plus 0.25, 0.9. 0.9 plus 0.1, I will get it as 1.0, right? So like this, you have to write the same probability value, whatever you have as the first one, for the first customer as the first place, right? For the second one, you should keep on adding the values, right? So once you get this cumulative probability, for RDA, what you will do, always you have to start with 1, right? So see the decimal, see the number of places after the decimal point, it is only 2 digits, right? So here also I will take the number as 0, 1. 0, 1 to 5, 6 to 15, 20 to 35, 36 to 65, 66 to 90, 91 to 00, right? So you should not write 100, you have to write here 0, 0. So first we will prepare the 2 tables, right? So once we have prepared the 2 tables, what we have to do is we have to start with our simulation table, right? So the simulation table is will have these columns. The first column is the customer, right? So they have asked us to prepare simulation table for 10 customers. So write the 10 customers. Then write the random numbers, whatever random digits they have given for inter-arrival time, right? So write it in such a way that for the first customer, there is no random number because the inter-arrival time for first customer is not there, right? So inter-arrival time is nothing but what? It is the time difference between the 2 customers, right? So it is dash. Then you write all the random digits. Once you write all the random digits, inter-arrival time is this, right? So then you have to check this 91 in that particular table, right? RDA assignment table. So 91. So we will go back to our previous table. We will go back to our previous table. So we have 91, right, which is the random number. So for random number 91, what is the inter-arrival time? The corresponding inter-arrival time is 10. right? So you have to check the interarrival time and come and write here. The same way, say for example, I have 75, right? So for 75, what is the interarrival time, right? So where is 75? 75 lies in the range between 71 to 80. So if I go to this 75, right? So the interarrival time is 8. 8 is the interarrival time for 75, right? So I'll come back and I will write the interarrival time is 8, right? So the same way, all these values are written by using the table random digit assignment table, right? So once you are done with this, you have to go calculate you have to find the arrival time, right? So for the arrival time, what we do, always remember the arrival time of the first customer will be 0, right? So we say that the first customer always arrives at 0, right? So we start from 0, then same procedure, add the inter-arrival time in order to get the arrival time of the next customer, right? Because inter-arrival time is nothing but the time difference between the first customer and the second customer, right? So if there is 10 minutes difference between these two, that means what? The second customer has arrived at 10th minute, right? So that is why we add 0 plus 10, 10, 10 plus 8, 18, 18 plus 2, 20, 20 plus 10, 30, 30 plus 3, 33, 33 plus 10, 43, 43 plus 8, 51, 51 plus 3, 54, 54 plus 3, 57, right? So all these arrival times are written by just adding the values, right, from the inter-arrival time. So once you are done with that, random digits for service time, so it is already given in the question, so copy all the random numbers. Now the same way you have to refer this particular table, RDA assignment for service time, in order to write the service time for the random number. Say for example 17 I have, right? So for 17, what I will do, 17 comes between 20 to 35, right? So for 20 to 35, what is the corresponding service time? Service time is 3, right? So like this, you have to refer this table for every random number, and the corresponding row value what you get, that will be the service time, right? So once it is done, now our simulation starts, right? So now we have to start our simulation table, right? So in our simulation, what is the first column? Time service begin, waiting time in the queue, time service end, time customer spends in the system, idle time of the server, right? So time service begin, always remember arrival time of the first customer is what? 0. So service will begin at 0 only. Since he is the first customer, he will not wait in the queue, so it is 0, right? When the service will end, what is his service time? His service time is 5. That means he will come at 0 and he needs 5. Service time means 0 plus 5, service will end at 5, right? So how much time customer spends in the system? He comes at 0, he goes out at 5, right? So it is 5. So idle time of the server will be 0. Like this, every step you have to understand and write. Okay, so coming to the second line, right? So now for the second line, so when the server is free, right? So always you have to keep an eye on the time that service ends. Service ends at 5. Okay, so now come here for the second customer. When he is coming, arrival time for the second customer is 10, right? So since he comes at 10, I have to start at 10, right? So even though the server is free at 5 only, right? So but the customer is coming at 10, so I will start at 10, right? So if I'm starting at 10, right? So what happened? There is idle time of the server, right? So that idle time of the server I have to write. So the server was idle for 5, right? So the server was idle for 5, right? Now he comes, is he waiting in the system? No, he is not waiting, because first customer came and he went out at 5 only, so second customer is not waiting. What is the service time of second customer? It is 2, right? So 10 plus 2, I will get it as 12. 12 is the service time of the second customer, right? So how much amount of time he spends in the system? So the time customer spends in the system is only 2 minutes, right? So because he comes at 10, he will finish off at 12 and he moves out, right? So 2 is the time customer spends in the system. Next, for the third step, what we will do, we'll see the arrival time. So when that service ends at 12, keep an eye mark in this on that, right? And what is the arrival time? Arrival time is 18. 18 is the arrival time, means I have to start at 18 only, right? So I have to start at 18 means server is ending at 12, right? So 12 to 18, server is idle. So server is idle for 6, right? So 6 minutes server was idle. Now 18, does he wait in the queue? No, he will not wait in the queue, right? So when the service will end, so he starts at 18. What is his service time? His service time is 5, right? So 18 plus 5, I will get it as 23, right? So 23 is the service ending time. How much is the time customer spends in the system? He comes at 18, he moves out at 23, right? So that means he spends totally 5 minutes, right? So next, coming to the fourth customer. Next, coming to the next customer, right? Fourth customer. So what is the, when the service will begin, right? So look at here, the fourth customer is coming at 20, right? But the server is free at 23, right? So the fourth customer comes at 20, right? But the server is free at 23, right? So since the server becomes free at 23, I have to start at 23 only, right? Then what the fourth customer will do? He has to wait. He has to wait for 3 minutes. So 23 minus 20, I will get it as 3. Waiting time is 3. Right? So now 23, what is his service time? His service time is 4. So 23 plus 4, it is 27. Right? So this is the time when the service ends. What is the total time spent in the system? Right? So waiting time plus the service time. Right? So he waits for 3 minutes and he is getting serviced for 4 minutes. Right? So he comes at 23, right? And he moves out at what time? He comes at 20 and he moves at 27, right? So that means 4 plus 3, totally 7 minutes he spends in the system, right? So next, coming to the next value, right? So when the service will begin, the next customer, when he's coming, his arrival time is 30, right? So system is server is free at 27, right? But since the customer, the fifth customer is coming at 30, right? So we have to start at 30, right? So we'll start at 30. We have 3 minutes idle time of the server, right? So like that we will write 3 minutes, right? So once it is 30, right? So what I have to do, I have to check the service time. Service time is 3, so 30 plus 3, it is 33, right? So total time spent in the system is only 3, right? So next, 33, the server is free. Next customer is also coming at 33, right? So immediately as he comes, he goes to the service, right? So 33 0, what is the service time? It is 5. So 33 plus 5 will get 38. Total time spent is only 5 because he comes at 33, he moves out at 38. All right? So next, coming to the next one, right? So server is free at 38, but the next customer is coming at 43, right? So 38 and 43 means there is 5 minutes. 5 minutes is the idle time of the server. He comes at 43. What is his service time? His service time is 6. So 43 plus 6 is 49, right? So the total time customer spends in the system is only 6, right? Next, 49, the server is free, right? But the customer is coming at 51, right? So 49 and 51 means 2 minutes the server is idle, right? So 2 minutes the server is idle. Then no, there is no waiting. He comes at 51. What is his service time? 5. So 51 plus 5, I will get it as 56. Total time spent in the system is 5, right? Next, the server ends at 56, right? So next is the customer is coming at 54, right? So I have to start at 56 only. He has to wait for 2 minutes. So customer will go for waiting time 2 minutes, right? So 56 it start. What is his service time? 5. So 56 plus 5, I will get it as 61. What is the total time spent? 2 minutes waiting time and 5 minutes service time. So therefore it is 7. Next is the server will be free at 61. When the customer is coming, he is coming at 57. 57 and 61 means he has to wait for 5 minutes, right? So he has to wait for 4 minutes. So 57, 61, right? So server customer will be waiting for 4 minutes. So at 61 it will start. What is the service time? 4. So 61 plus 4 is 65, right? What's the total time spent in the system? Waiting time in the queue is 4 minutes. Service time is 4 minutes. So totally 8 minutes, right? So like this, you have to prepare the simulation table. And when preparing, always you should keep an eye on the service end and on the arrival time, right? These two are very, very important. You have to keep track of the arrival time and when the service ends. Once you get all the values, right? Once you get all the values, we have to calculate the average waiting time. So average waiting time will be equal to the total waiting time divided by the total number of customers, right? So we have different formulas here to calculate each and everything. So average waiting time will be total waiting time. So you have to add everything. You will get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So if I add to all the waiting time, I will get total waiting time divided by total number of customers. The same way you have average time customer spends in the system. It is total time the customer spends in the system divided by total number of customers, right? So total time the customer spends in the system, right? So you have to add all this total divided by total number of customers, right? So next, average service time will be total service time divided by total number of customers, right? So you have to add all the service time, right? So you will get it as total service time. So total service time divided by total number of customers. Next, probability of wait will be number of customers who wait divided by total number of customers, right? Number of customers who wait means you have to count for how many people you are having the waiting time. You are having waiting time for 1, 2 and 3. You are having waiting time for 3 people, right? So 3 people divided by the number of customers. Next, probability of idle server will be total idle time of the server divided by total runtime of simulation, right? So you have to add the total idle time, right? So go to that particular column, idle time of the server, right? So this is the last column is the idle time of the server. Add all the values, that is total idle time of the server divided by total runtime of simulation, right? So total runtime of simulation is nothing but when the simulation stopped, that is when the service ended. This last value when the service ends, that is called as the total runtime of simulation, right? So like this, you for every formula, average waiting time between arrivals, you have sum of all the IAT divided by the number of arrivals minus 1, right? So average waiting time for those customers we wait will be total waiting time divided by total number of customers who wait, right? So like this, different formulas are there, right? So based on the, you have to remember the formulas and you have to calculate the values, right? The next problem what we have is, consider a grocery store with one checkout counter. Prepare a simulation table for 8 customers and find out the average waiting time, idle time of the server, probability that a customer has to wait in a queue, right? So IAT and ST are given in minutes, right? So always the inter-arrival time and the service time will be given, right? So always remember, you have to see the number of customers. How many customers are there? 8 customers are there. How many service times are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 customers, 8 service times are there, right? And inter-arrival time, always it will be one number lesser, because for the first customer we don't have inter-arrival time. If they give directly the inter-arrival time, right? So no need to construct RD assignment tables and all. Directly you can go for your simulation table. So customer, inter-arrival time, arrival time, service time, time service begins, waiting time in the queue, time service ends, the time customer spends in the system, idle time of the server, right? So write the number of customers, 8 customers, take the inter-arrival time values from the table, right? So for the first customer, it is always a dash, right? So 32644558, right? So for the first customer you put dash, then you write 32644558. Next you have the arrival time. Always arrival time of the first customer is 0. How do you calculate the next arrival time? Just addition, right? So 0 plus 3 3, 3 plus 2 5, 5 plus 6 11, 11 plus 4 15, 15 plus 4 19, 19 plus 5 24, 24 plus 8 32, right? So like this you'll be adding. Service times they have given in the problem, right? So what are the values they have given? 35584 623, right? So write that value, 35584 623, right? So then you have to do this. Time service begin, always remember for the first customer the service begins at 0 because arrival time is 0, right? So does he wait or he doesn't wait because he is the first one. When the service is land, what is his service time? His service time is 3. So 0 plus 3 is 3, right? So total time customer spends in the system is 3. Idle time will be 0. Next, keep an eye on service end and arrival time, right? So here I have put tick marks, right? So you have to keep an eye on this. So when is the service ending? Service is ending at 3, right? Service is ending at 3, right? So then what we have here, service is ending at 3. What is the arrival time? Arrival time is also 3. So he doesn't wait. So 3, waiting time will be 0. What is the service time? So it is 5. So 3 plus 5 is 8, right? So total time customer spends in the system is 5, right? So 0. The same way, right? So keep an eye on service ending and the arrival time. So he comes at 5, but the server completes at 8, right? So since he completes at 8, server is free at 8. So time service begins at 8 only. The customer has to wait for 3 minutes. So we'll be waiting for 3 minutes. What is the service time? Service time is 5. So 8 plus 5 is 13, right? So 13. So total time customer spends in the system will be waiting time, which is a 3 plus the service time. So 5 plus 3 will be 8, right? So like this, you have to, same as how I explained in the previous problem, the same way you have to solve this problem also and find the average waiting time, idle time of the server, and probability of wait, right? So this completes your problem on single channel queuing system. Thank you.